In 1953, American professor Charles Hapgood published an article claiming that long before humans appeared on Earth, there was already another thriving civilization. At first, this idea seemed completely unbelievable. Yet later, parts of his work were classified by the CIA. Why would intelligence agencies hide something that seemed so far-fetched? Or were they afraid that the scientists' ideas might actually be true? After all, Earth has existed for over 4.2 billion years, while humans, as a species, have only been around for about 300,000 years. Could it be that Earth was home to other beings long before humans? Recent discoveries certainly make us question everything we thought we knew. In this video, we'll explore the true intelligence of dinosaurs, the possibility that mushrooms could survive a nuclear apocalypse, and most importantly, the chance that another advanced civilization thrived on Earth millions of years before humanity rose. Let's dive in. There are many gaps in our history that scientists tend to overlook. One of these mysteries is the construction of the pyramids. Researchers claim that the people at the time were only capable of basic tools. Yet who built these grand structures? This is a pyramid of Chichen Itza in Mexico, the tomb of Pharaoh Djoser in Egypt, and the sanctuary of Ko Kur in Cambodia. Interestingly, all these structures follow the same basic design, but they were built at entirely different times. The similarity between these monuments raises questions about human history. The stones in their walls fit so perfectly that not even a hair can slip through the gaps, and all of this was done without mortar. Similar structures have been found near Cusco in Peru, Greece, Japan, and even on Easter Island. Keep in mind, many of these sites are separated by vast oceans. It seems like these structures were all built by one advanced culture, far ahead of the people of that time. While this idea may seem like science fiction now, could it be possible that we've overlooked the possibility of discovering an ancient civilization? Leading astronomer Jason Wright from Pennsylvania State University believes this theory might hold some weight. Some of the most mysterious phenomena from ancient history are still attributed to the incredible technological achievements of the Indus Valley civilization. In 1829, explorer Charles Mason discovered the ruins of Harappa, a city that would amaze modern architects. Its urban planning was extraordinary, with streets perfectly aligned from north to south and east to west. But what was the purpose of this careful design? The answer lies in the city's advanced water management system. Archaeologists found that many inhabitants of this ancient city had private pools, which were carefully designed with complex features. These pools were sealed with resin to ensure they were watertight, and fresh water flowed through pipes with a sophisticated drainage system to carry away wastewater. Meanwhile, other civilizations struggled to build basic shelters. Creating such pools without specialized tools would have been impossible. The people of the Indus civilization seemed to possess knowledge of complex iron tools long before other cultures did. In fact, this theory was confirmed in 1936 during excavations in Egypt, near the village of Saqqara. Archaeologists uncovered the Serapeum, large granite burial boxes. Egyptologists claim these boxes were built during the 18th dynasty, around 1550 to 1300 BC. But during this time, Egyptians barely used metal tools. So how did they create these perfectly straight-edged granite boxes with remarkably smooth, thin walls? Strange grooves found on these boxes resembled marks made by modern drills. Could it be that an even more advanced civilization influenced ancient Egypt with complex machinery? If so, why do we still know so little about this culture? Why haven't we found more evidence of such an advanced civilization? In 2017, astrophysicist Adam Frank and climatologist Gavin Schmidt tried to imagine what would remain of our civilization if we vanished one day. The answer seemed clear. Our megacities would still be standing, albeit covered in moss. If a civilization had built something similar to us before, surely we would have found it by now. Archaeological digs should have uncovered traces of prehistoric skyscrapers, but we haven't found any. Does this mean that such civilizations never existed? Or is the truth not so simple? Frank and Schmidt believe that our cities would disappear in about 10,000 years, leaving only scattered boulders behind. This tells us very little about our civilization's growth, and as time passes, the remains of any past societies will become buried deeper underground, eventually turning to dust. Very little evidence remains from Neanderthals, who lived only tens of thousands of years ago. But what if an entire society existed on Earth long before them? You might mention plastic, which takes much longer to break down than organic materials. If a past civilization existed, they would have certainly left behind plastic waste. However, researcher Alan Weissman suggests that much of this plastic would eventually degrade due to ultraviolet radiation and bacteria in about 20,000 years. If a global catastrophe wiped out an ancient civilization, their traces would disappear even faster. Some survivors may have settled in other areas and passed on their knowledge to different cultures, explaining how the Egyptians and Indus people achieved such advancements. The problem is made even more complex by the fact that less than 3% of Earth's surface is inhabited. A past civilization could have existed in an even smaller area, and even if they left behind plastic waste, it would now be harder to find than a single grain of sand on a beach. So, if an industrial society existed a billion years ago, it would be almost impossible to find any evidence today. But why do we assume that ancient beings would have looked like us? When Earth was still forming, the climate was much harsher. It was constantly bombarded by meteorites, and the atmosphere was mostly made up of water vapor, carbon dioxide, ammonia, and methane. No known species could have survived under these extreme conditions, but perhaps they were ideal for completely different creatures. Max Bernstein, head of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, suggests that a civilization in such a climate could have looked like a network of sentient crystals. Other life forms may not have shared the same qualities we recognize, such as reproduction or metabolism, but life could still exist. Crystals, for instance, grow new atoms in a specific sequence. If a crystal sheet breaks off, it retains these properties, somewhat like the birth of a new organism. It's possible that billions of years ago, certain minerals formed an entire society without needing DNA molecules, and this civilization would have left no trace behind. So, should we stop looking for evidence of past civilizations? Or is there still hope? Frank and Schmidt believe we should continue the search, even if physical evidence may be short-lived. They suggest that the indirect effects of an ancient industrial civilization could still be detectable in Earth's crust. Any industrial society would have required energy, and just like our own, would have used fossil fuels, especially in the early stages of development. These energy-intensive processes would have left traces deep within the planet, such as unusual concentrations of radioactive elements. Interestingly, during excavations in Rajasthan, India, archaeologists found a layer of radioactive ash, which might suggest a nuclear event in the ancient Indus Valley. Even more astonishing, in 1977, researcher David Davenport discovered that stones of the ruins of Mohenjo-daro were melted and turned into a glass-like substance. Such a phenomenon could only have been caused by temperatures reaching around 1,500 degrees Celsius, similar to those produced by a nuclear explosion. Ancient legends even mention a powerful explosion that burned entire nations, similar to a nuclear disaster. What if this explosion didn't come from humans, but from an earlier civilization? There are other periods in Earth's history that point to intelligent intervention. For example, about 56 million years ago, Earth experienced a sharp rise in temperature that scientists now believe was caused by cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. Could these tiny organisms have influenced the climate, or were they part of a much more advanced society? Today, scientists don't entirely rule out the possibility that intelligent life could have existed on Earth billions of years ago. And who knows, perhaps intelligent fungi once inhabited the planet. In 2000, Japanese biologist Toshiyuki Nakagaki placed mold in a maze with a sugar cube at the other end. Within hours, the mold grew toward the sugar, showing problem-solving skills. Some fungi are now known to feed on radioactive waste and plastic. Could these organisms have once played a role in a highly advanced civilization? The true mystery lies within the mycelium, the network of threads that extends across the planet. In just 10 cubic centimeters of soil, scientists have found 8 kilometers of fungal threads. Could an intelligent fungal civilization have existed long ago, creating plastic or even radioactive weapons? If so, they would have long since eliminated all traces of their waste. So, maybe humans won't find any evidence of such civilizations. But why is it so hard to believe that Earth could have supported more than one civilization? Perhaps new societies have risen and fallen on Earth every few tens of thousands of years. For instance, in 1970, the TV series Doctor Who introduced the current intelligent humanoid reptiles. Though it was just entertainment, the idea of an ancient reptilian civilization is gaining scientific support. For many years, scientists thought dinosaurs were just large, dumb creatures, given their small brains. However, in 2021, paleontologist Diego Opa discovered that most dinosaurs were far more intelligent than previously believed. For instance, the Maiasaurus species built nests in the same place each year, showing memory and planning skills. This suggests they may have developed a division of labor, where males guarded the nests, while adolescent dinosaurs foraged for food. Some researchers even speculate that dinosaurs could have developed agricultural societies. Could they have been the true pioneers of civilization, building a sophisticated society long before humans?